Hello, everyone, and welcome to Artful Impact. Today, we have George Basha. He is known for the roles of the combination Convict. He has taken on a triple threat of a role of writer, director, and star of a thrilling new Australian action movie called Hostile Forces. Now, hailing from Sydney, Basha initially made his mark as a writer and lead actor in the 2009 film The Combination. This gritty production marked the directorial debut of the iconic Australian character actor David Field. Notably, The Combination was one of his earliest local films to explore the vibrant multicultural landscape of Sydney's western suburbs. The film ignited significant interest and debate, propelling Basha onto an intriguing career trajectory. Now, Basha embarks on a solo venture with Hostile Forces, a gritty action film that showcases his multifaceted talents. Now, originating from Parramatta, Basha takes on the role as, again, writer, director, and star in this production, and his trademark determination and charisma. Basha assumes the character of Mickey, a retired soldier who must confront his violent past when his family's safety is jeopardized during a wilderness vacation. George, welcome to our little platform, and I'm so glad that we've got you here. But tell us how Hostile Forces came about.
How you doing first? You good?
I'm good. I'm good, actually. I'm just launching into it, which is great. Yeah.
Look, Hostile Forces. I've always loved action. So one of the reasons I got into acting was I wanted to be an action star. As you know, in Australia, action isn't a genre that is kind of that is backed by our industry. We don't make much, so it was always very tricky and hard to make it for the Australian industry. So I had to think bigger. So I needed to get a bit of experience, not just in front of the camera, behind the camera, before I went on to Hostile Forces, which is originally called Retreat. I wrote Hostile Forces before The Combination Redemption. So I was going to make it before The Combination Redemption. And the idea of The Combination Redemption came up. I thought, you know what, I'll jump on it now because I was still a bit younger. You know, we don't want to age too much, where with Hostile Forces I could have went there a year or two later. It didn't bother me. So I've always been a Sylvester Stallone fan. I've loved Rambo. I love the film Taken. I love films that are about family. I love the human. I love action, but I think these days a lot of action movies have lost the human element in their films. It's all about blowing up stuff and killings. But I think as a filmmaker, it's very important that you got that human connection. All the action to me is a bonus in a film. That's a bonus for the audience to be entertained. But the heart of everything is the characters. If the audience doesn't feel for a character or the characters, then it's just a film about killing people, nothing much. So I thought, I wanted to play a role where I was a father that people can relate to as a parent, a father, a mother, that can relate to having kids, and they're put in a situation where, they have to do what they need to do to survive, not just for them, for their kids. So Hostile Forces is an idea of a Rambo-ish Taken, put in one, except it's down in the bush. So, it was very, and I don't think it's hard making action films in Australia. I think there are a lot of young, talented, action actors, stunt coordinators. Yourself, you're in the same genre.
Yeah.
When I did The Combination, Hostile Forces, Ali Kadim worked on it with Michael Jupe, and they're two young, fantastic stunt coordinators.
Yeah.
They know geography to a T.
Ali's like he's a local, and he's grown up doing lots of action from 9 Lives and moving on to the industry. But it's so great to see him sort of in your film and having that Western Sydney sort of collaboration as well, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and he's in it. He plays a role. So does Michael Duke. They both play characters. And as you know, sometimes as a director, I have to look at it and go, okay, you can get some really great actors. But when it comes to some great actors aren't really good at the action stuff. And I've worked with years where, oh, don't hit my face, watch my face, watch my body, or, mate, it's true. It's funny, but it's true, and I'm a believer. If you're making an action film, then you're going to get hit. There's going to be moments you're going to get hit. There's going to be moments, you're going to be hurt, action most of the time, but that's part of making the action film and part of getting a shot that looks really good too. Sometimes, getting a nice tap will give you that shot. Wow. So Ali knows the action stuff really well. So I thought there should be a scene of me and him fighting because we can give it to each other and we know what we're after. And and he's right. He's a pretty good actor as well. I'm not taking anything away from his acting. And same with Michael Duke, who's fantastic. Because I think when you're making action films, it's like a dance. Yes, it's like a dance. You're doing a fight scene, but it's a dance, and and the dance has got to be on song for the audience to believe it. So I chose moments and characters in the film where I needed fighters more than actors in some parts. And then there was another girl that I used called Bonnie Gillespie, who's a real life fighter. Wow. She's never been on screen before. And she's, I can tell you she's a real fighter because in rehearsals she bruised the hell out of her. All right. I was saying to her, we're acting, you're supposed to miss by this much.
It's going at you.
She kept hitting me, but she was fantastic. And another reason why I wanted to make Hostile Forces was when I made The Combination, I was the first filmmaker to make a film of that kind. Wow. So we did Western Sydney, gangs, violence. It was before Underbelly, before all these, others jumped on board after. I was the first, and that was what excited me. So what excited me about Hostile Forces, I'm the first to make a film of this kind in Australia. Yeah. This is not a martial arts film. This is an action film. And when I say in Australia, it's an Australian film. Now, they've had American films come out and shoot action films. As an Aussie film, I don't think it's ever been an attempt to make a film like this in this country. And I knew going into it, there was an element of risk. I knew that, because I didn't have a really big budget. I had some huge action scenes in it. And I do my own stunts. Wow. And I knew I was going to get hurt. I knew and I did. There was, I copped a bullet in the hand. I got shot in at one stage where there was a scene where I blocked the gun as he turns to shoot, or blanks, and he lets off the gun. And the bullet, I put my hand at the wrong place. I put it on the chamber. Yeah. And when he shot, and bang. I got hypothermia in one scene when I was under the water. Wow. We were shooting a scene, me and Ali actually, in a waterfall, mind you, in the middle of winter. And the water was freezing, and I come out of the water, and every time I put my hand under the water, honestly, I can feel my head's about to explode. It was that cold. Wow. But as when you're working on a small budget, I'm like, nah, I've got to do it. We're on a budget, we're on a timeline. We can't come back to this. So me being stubborn, me and Ali kept shooting in the water because the fight ends up in the water. And we're walking out. I remember we hadn't finished yet. We'll come out and have a little break. And the next thing, all I remember is Ali grabbing me as I'm about to fall. And the next thing I know is I was on my back, and they were working on me trying to get me to come back because my body just shut down. Oh. From all the cold, Oh my
gosh, you're really like gritty filmmaker. Keep going.
I've got bruises everywhere, but I never told anyone because if you tell anyone, that's soft on screen, it'll work. But look, I think we've made a hell of a good film. I think we shot it during COVID. We were shut down before we finished. I copped COVID a week while we were shooting it one day. I think the last day of shooting, I copped COVID. My editor copped COVID twice. So there's been some challenges. We had to go back and reshoot that scene that I told you about with Ali in the summer.
Wow.
Because it was just too cold. We couldn't do it. It was just too cold. So there were challenges. It's been 2 years. And the good news is, though, we have got a distribution in North America.
Wow.
So got a really good distribution in North America. And that was always my plan with this film. I knew this would attract the international audience. And that's where I wanted to go with it. And it's a big distribution company. So they do a lot of action films. So it's going to get a good, decent release in the US and North America and Canada. We've got a distribution in Australia as well by Pinnacle.
Oh, wow.
So we'll be hitting digital. We'll be going on digital. So I'm not going to go onto your Netflix and Stan yet. We're going to get digital. I just think at the moment in Australia, Netflix and all those streaming are not paying what I think films deserve to be paid. I think they're trying to pay a lot of filmmakers, and it's not fair. So we're going to get digital in, I think it's early September.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I think it's a really good. I think there's some great performances in it. I think Maya Gaines, who plays my wife, she's fantastic. She's a phenomenal actor. Ria Merrick, who was the first film. She's never done anything before. I saw an audition tape and I just thought to myself, this girl can act. And, I've given people opportunities. I always have. In every film I've ever made, till that, from the combination to Hostile Forces, there's always some new faces for people that have been trying to get into the industry, trying to break into the industry, and they don't give an opportunity. It was like, I wasn't given opportunities. So I'm in a position now where I can give people a leg up, an opportunity to have a go and, put a resume together.
Now, for you, do you feel like, for example, Australian film industry and like funding bodies, like, why don't they recognize that action is a huge genre and that, they should look at investing in independent cinema to kickstart that off? Like, what's the sort of the ceiling of, yeah.
I think in the industry in Australia we're behind. I don't think we, understand what really works in this country, what the audiences want. I mean, perfect example is the horror film Talk to Me, which has just recently been released. They're making a sequel. It got picked up in the US. It's an Aussie film. Horror, action. They're huge genres. Sci-fi, huge genres. I was in America in November, and I had a lot of meetings with a lot of film companies in the States, and I wanted to pick their brain about what sells internationally, what are the big, what do they look for, and a lot of it was horror, action, sci-fi. And so this is what I understand in Australia. I think, we make some films that. I mean, people. This is the problem I've got with filmmakers in Australia, right? A lot of them, not all of them, but a lot of them. Everyone's worried about awards. Everyone's worried about festivals. Everyone's worried. I need my little award for best film. But to me, it's all about audience. I don't care if I don't win an award. I don't care. If you said to me, I'll give you Best Actor Award, or would you rather have 30 million views for your film? 30 million views for my film. Because that's what we do. We're entertainers. We want people to watch our film. But if you can get people to watch your film and then win awards, that's fantastic. But I see a lot of films, especially in Australia, they go into festivals and then they win festivals and they're so happy about it. But no one watches them.
Yeah.
Then if you go into theatrical, Aussie films, we don't get the help from our country. That to me, that's and when I say that, I mean, like, I know my last 3 films have all had theatrical releases, and this one I chose on purpose not to go theatrical because of that reason. Right? When I made Redemption, we went on 52 or 56 screens around the country. So we were shown all over Australia. Now, I remember we were doing a Q&A in Melbourne, and I remember David Fields flew out to Melbourne, and people were coming to see us and watch the film. Our posters weren't even up in the cinema. They were in their storeroom. They had every other American film, okay? And then we said to the guy, why aren't our posters up? We are showing in Hoyts. We are showing in events. Oh, sorry, put them up now. And he put them up when we were there.
Yeah.
You know, that's one problem, right? It's like, the other problem is, you know, in this country, they don't back their own people. They only back who they choose. Okay? So we're saying that, for example, if you made a film, I made a film, then all these free-to-air channels, all these people should be talking about us. Should be give us 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute of their time to say, new Australian films coming out. You know, promote your product. It's an Aussie product. But they'll be happy to promote a bloody dog stuck in a tree, or they'll be happy to promote some US actor that'll come that hasn't done a film in 20 years over us. And this is America. The reason why Americans are so good and why Indians are so good, Bollywood is so good, and why Asians, you know, Asian cinema is so good is because they back their people. They back them. They'll talk about them. You know, even if it's not the greatest film, they'll still push it so that their audience go out and watch. Well, in this country, I don't. As a filmmaker, for me, I don't feel that.
Yeah.
When I made The Combination and Convict, and then The Combination Redemption, a lot of people want to interview me, not about my films, about the gang, Western Sydney gang culture, about violence, about my past growing up. You know, when I was younger, the people I had, you know, some of my friends that were in jail. That's what I want to talk to me about. No, give me the respect. Talk to me as an actor, as a filmmaker. I'm making films. And a lot of stuff that I'll do, other than The Combination, which has a lot of reality about my life growing up, a lot of the other stuff is fictional. They turn this fiction. And this is the thing, and it's really, it's irritating. You know, when I made The Combination, you know, I'll never forget it. And until this day, it kind of bites at me, right? The media called it a Lebanese Australian film.
Oh.
It's not. It's an Australian film. It was filmed in Australia, Australian actors, Australian crew, but they kept pushing this Lebanese Australian film. And then they kept pushing, you know, guys like Ali Hayder. You know, he got in trouble. It was all over the news. You know, we shot a scene at a function called Beirut by Night. There was a big fight there, I think, one night, and then I linked the film to that fight because we used that later. So, you know, this is where the media comes in. It's like, you know, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the great performances in the film. Like, you know, the Combination had a lot of great performances. You know, Faraz Duran, awesome in it. You know, Doris Shinane was awesome in it. You know, rest his soul, Tony Ryan was awesome in it. You know, Bowen was really good in it. You know, but they kept talking about all the negative stuff, and then they kind of really, were they really promoting me, or were they promoting the violence? Or because I'm almost, you know, and this is the thing for me. Like, now, I've made 4 films, you know, and a lot of people say to me, "Oh, you don't understand what you've achieved, what you've done." And to be honest, maybe because I don't, maybe because I still want to do more and more and more. Maybe when I retire, I will look back and go, "Oh my God, I did okay." But I've made 4 films, right? Since 2009. So what are we? What's it now? 12 years, 13 years. I've made 4 feature films. All right, they've all had releases. They've all done well. My phone has never once rang from Screen New South Wales, or anyone to say, "Hey George, we're shooting a show about West Sydney. Would you like to come and direct one? Would you like to come and help us write one?" Never.
But they should, because you've got the experience. I think, you know what? It's in Australia. It's like the tall poppy syndrome, and also whose circle you're in. You know, and I think because you didn't have to wait for the system's permission to make films, I think that's sort of like a bit of like contention there, the fact that you just do it yourself. And I feel like that's probably why they're kind of wanting to keep you.
But the system, Maria, is like, so I've got a script that I wrote, and it was funded by Screen Australia. But although it was funded by Australian, it's still hard to get the film made because then they want you to go, they want you to cast it, which is no problem. They want you then to get a distribution on board. So they want all this stuff before they sit there and go, okay, you know what? Now we'll talk to you. And they're not going to give you all the budget. You're still going to have to raise a percentage of the budget. So you're still doing a lot of work. Now, by the time you do all that, you know, you could be years, 2 years, 3 years. You know, I don't. Look, mate, I might not be here tomorrow. I might be dead in a year. I want to do it now.
Yeah.
You know? And I want control.
When I saw your trailer, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like you just, because each time I think of action film, it's always like a white dude. You know what I mean? So when I see someone that is fitting that sort of like narrative, it's so refreshing. And the fact that it's coming from Australia, you know what I mean? Or whether Australia wants to show that, cultural ethnicities can be the hero. I don't know if that's what they want, but I think the fact that you're pushing for that, it's just so refreshing. And I feel like that's what we want to see. And it does look like it's a hard slog to having to, if you've got to go through the system, but it's interesting how you've carved your own sort of system and how to get the financing and how to film it and package it and all that. So that's, how long did that take for you to figure out? Like, did you have to really go out there and find the information or? Well,
look, I remember when we did the combination, we had a decent budget. And then I remember I worked on a film called Felony with 𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗙. I did a day on that. And I remember sitting there and they had so many people on set sitting around doing nothing. And I'm thinking, you don't need all this bloody hoo-ha to make a film, you know. So I just went back and said, okay, what do I really need to make a film look amazing? You know, camera, lighting, you know, the right actors, the right locations, and the right crew. Now my team is very small. I've got a team that I use and I use all the time. It's a small team. I try not to change my team, because we work on a small crew, and we work fast, we work good, and we know what we want. We're on the same page. But it doesn't get easy. I mean, you know, you never make anyone that can make a film, and I don't care how great or how bad a film might be. I tip my hat off to them because it's hard work. You know this, you've done it. It is hard work. Even if you've got money, it's still hard work. Without money, it's harder work, but it's still hard work. There's nothing easy, you know. And sometimes, you know, I've always worked on a real tight budget to the cent, right? And sometimes I thought, you know, if I had that little bit more, like in a hostile forces, I wish I had that extra, you know, $500,000, you know, because I'll blow shit up there. You know what I'm saying? It'll give you stuff that you can do. You can blow something up. You can have explosions. You can, you know, these are the things that it'll help you with. Bigger stunts, more time to shoot. You know, like, you know, there are times when I'm on a, you know, I think we 5 weeks, 6 weeks shoot for an action film. You know, and I'm talking about Hostile Forces has about 5 really big fight scenes. Wow. They're not like bang, bang. They're really big fight scenes.
They're not pub balls.
And we did a lot of choreography. Michael, before with the other actors we worked on it. And then we had to work, because not every actor can throw a certain punch. Not every actor can throw a certain kick. So then we had to work around all the actors. What was their strength? You know, because my job as well as a director, I've got to take my actor's hat off sometimes, and my director hat comes on. I've got to protect the actor. I've got to make sure the actor looks unbelievable, as best he or she can be, and that their performances match. Because I wouldn't put anything out there kind of to degrade an actor. So when I'm in everyone going to edit suite, sometimes even myself, I look at something, I think to myself, that is not good at all. I'll have to edit around it. And I think that's, so you got to edit around certain stuff. Yeah. My job was also to make the best film I can possibly make, but also you've got to protect your actor all the time. Because, you know, every actor De Niro, whoever you are, believe me, there'll be takes there that aren't great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So for you as a director, are you quite hands-on, like as in not only directing the actors, do you also frame the shots? Do you also work with the DOP to kind of figure out the shots? And are you editing in your head, or are you waiting for post? What's your process?
I'm hands-on. I edit in my head. So I'll look at it and say, okay, if I'm going to go to there, how do I come to the next scene? How do I come to the next scene? So I'm always editing, and my DOP at times, we usually have a shot list, an idea of what we want. That's a shot list. But there's many times I'll change my mind. I say, no, wait a moment. Because sometimes when I'm doing the shot list, I don't have all the locations. Yeah. So I might get onto a location there and I'm going, you know what? Yeah, get that shot, but I want this shot now. You know? So, you know, I mean, there was one shot particularly in this film, the shot that I wanted. I think the shot went for about 4.5 minutes. It was a one-shotter. And I remember I had to do like 8 takes, and my DOP wanted to stop for me because he was like getting really, also handheld. You know, truck pulls up, all the mercenaries get out, and he follows the mercenary way. So that's one shot. Wow. It's a beautiful shot. And then he did the 7th shot. And I was on, I was on the monitors watching, and the DOP goes, "Yeah, we got it." I said, "Yeah, we didn't. We're going again." He goes, "What is that?" I said, "Because one of the actors, for some reason, jumped out of the truck and starts pointing his gun. There's no one there. He passes out of the truck and just walk, you know, and get to the position that I gave him." And then, I said, "No, we're doing it again." And I could hear the sound. The sound line, I could hear him mumbling up, effing this and effing that. His arms were dying. Yeah. You know, 8th shot, he got it.
But also because you would have been watching it, and like you would have kind of have a bit of OCD. You want everything to be the way it is. Otherwise, in post, you'd be like, what happened here, right? So you must have had really hyper sensitivity to the frame and making sure it looks, you know, what you want.
I knew what I wanted, especially like for that shot. I knew exactly what I wanted. So when I've got a really good eye, so when I look at the monitor, now if something kind of catches my eye that's not right, I'll just call cut. I won't continue to shoot. I'll say start again, because there's no use going through the whole scene, especially if it's a one-shotter. But you know, look, and I think the hardest thing is when you're acting and directing. You know, I mean, I love it.
Yeah.
And I think the problem I have is sometimes I put my effort into the other person's performance, not worrying too much about my performance, you know, because I kind of know what I want from my performance, but it's getting the best out of the other actors. And, you know, and I think this is the thing where I've worked with a lot of directors in the past, and sometimes you work with directors that's what they want. No, you got to do it that way. You got to do it that way. You got to do it that way, you know? Yeah. And I'm a believer as a director that the actor has an instinct, and you've got to let him use that instinct. I'm a big believer of that. So whenever, you know, I shoot a film, I always tell the actor, this is what I want. Yeah. Give it to me. And then I'll say, now, play it your way. Because you know what? You know, sometimes, honestly, 30 times out of 100, the actor's right and I'm wrong. You know, because as an actor, I know sometimes I've got an instinct to do something in that scene. And you know, because you're playing the scene and you're in character and you're going to do something, but you're thinking, I better not do it. The director doesn't want to do it. Yeah. No, you got to let it run. Because if you're thinking that, the camera's going to see that. Yes. Then you're in trouble. You know? I don't hire actors so I can, you know, say to them, they've got to bring something to the film. That's why I hire them. Not them to film, because, you know, every actor brings something from them, from their heart to their character. You know, they work hard in their character. They know what they're going to do in that moment. So I'm one of those directors. Yeah. I always act their take, you know, and go back in the edit suite. Sometimes they're right. Sometimes I'm wrong. And I say to them, you know.
It's so interesting because you're in the action genre, but you've got a very facilitative approach but you also know what you want, and you know when to balance that, and bring that about in the timing of the resources that you've got. So you're very intuitive. I feel like you're quite an intuitive director, which is fantastic, especially in the action genre, whereas everything's very sometimes black and white. But George, how can we see your film? Like, tell us, where is it screening, and what's the next steps for it, for our audience?
Well, it's showing for the world first. It'll be showing this Thursday, on the 24th of August. There's two sessions. One's already sold out. One, I think, so one at 7, one at 7:15 at 𝗕𝗠𝗣𝗥𝗧𝗙. The 7:15 session, I think there's about 12 tickets left. That's going to be the only time it's shown on the big screen to the public. But it's going to hit digital. They're saying it's about September the 9th. It's around that date. It'll hit digital. It'll hit Apple, Amazon, Xbox, Google Play, all those.
Great.
And there. That's where it's going to be hitting. In the US, we haven't got a release yet. We're still waiting for a release date from the US. So that's only Australia and New Zealand will be releasing in September.
Okay.
But in the US, release.
Yeah. And then after that, what's next for you? Are you writing something? Are you looking onto your next project?
I'm looking at shooting a new film next year.
Are you a robot, George? You're just pumping it out. It's amazing.
You got to just keep going. It's a film called Caught Up. So I'm going back to the streets. It is an action drama. I play a cop. Yeah. It's about 3 mates growing up in Western Sydney. They take different paths. One becomes a cop, one becomes a criminal, and their paths cross 10 years later. And yeah, a little bit of action in there. Good. It's a pretty good script, pretty full-on script. The characters are pretty cool. Get it done. So I'm just at the moment, I'm just going through the script a little bit more, just making sure I've got enough action in it. Yeah. I've got plenty of drama because I want it to be an action drama. That's it.
Fantastic. And one final piece of advice for filmmakers who want to achieve like sustainability in the industry. What do you think one attribute that you have that just kept you going all the way to now? Because I'm sure other people would have dropped off the planet. You know, it's too hard, they leave, right? What's that thing that you have?
There's a few things. Okay, there's a few things. Me, one, you have to be willing to fail and accept it. You can't be scared of failure. You know, not everyone's going to love you. That's one thing I learned. The second thing is you got to be very, very persistent. You know, if you want to be an actor, a filmmaker, whatever, you got to be persistent, and you got to know exactly what you want, and believe in what you want. Because you know, a lot of times I've been told, when I made Convict, when I made The Combination, a lot of people say, "Oh, it won't work," but I stuck to it, and they've worked, and they've done really. So you know, you got to be very persistent. You know, and I'll tell you something. There's a lot of people I've met in the industry that want to do things. So I've always said this to people. Right? There's 2 sorts of people in the world, right? In entertainment industry, there's the ones that says, I'll call them the I'm gunners. I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do this. I'm going to do this. They do jack. Okay. Then the ones that say, I'm going to do it. And they do it. You know, look, if you were to give me right now $10,000, I would make it on $10,000. I would make it work. If you were to give me $1 million, make it $1 million. You know, sometimes you've got to also understand how much you can get to make a film. Some people say they want $1 million, $2 million. If you get $500,000, if you're smart enough, you can make a feature film that looks like a $5 film. You know, with the right team. Yeah, and you got to be persistent. Like, you know, I've had you get knocked down all the time in the industry. I mean, you know this. You've been in this. You know, you get knocked down, and don't wait for people to give you roles. Don't wait for people to give you. If you're waiting, you know, like people said to me the other day, you know, just got to be lucky. No, you make your own luck. You know, nothing going to drop in your lap. You've got to go. You've got to be willing to work hard. And then you know what? If you're working hard and you're really going for what you want, you will get a little bit of luck. You're sitting there thinking luck is going to drop into your lap. You ain't going to do nothing.
Yeah.
I make things happen. And that's what you got to do. You got to be proactive, make things happen, chase things. You get no's, you get a yes. No's, you get a yes. Surround yourself with the right team, right people. Surround yourself with the right people. Sometimes you got people. Sometimes you got friends that put you down. Sometimes when I first got in the industry, I used to tell a lot of people, I want to be an actor, I want to be this, and people used to like, yeah, but you can tell they're kind of laughing at you. It's never going to happen, champ. Never, and that can, be negative on a person. You shouldn't be looking at somebody to believe in you. You got to believe in yourself. That's all that matters. And I've always worked that way. Like I remember when I got in, they said to me, "Oh, you speak too fast. People aren't going to understand you when you talk on TV." I'm like, well, that's cool because my favorite actor is Sylvester Stallone. I don't understand half the shit he said.
Exactly.
But but I think you've got to believe in yourself and you've got to just not worry about outside noise. And I think I've always done that. I've always gone with my gut feeling. I've never, even when we were shooting Hostile Forces, when we're working on things, if something in the fight scene wasn't working for me, I'd say, no, I don't like it, change it. So, and you always got to go with you. Because at the end of the day, if you make something, if you're a director, an actor, and you go out and you do something and then you change because someone's changed your mind and you're not 100% about it, and then when it's done, it's too late. And you look back, I wish I'd done it my way. It's too late. You should have done it your way. Yeah. Because think your way.
Thank you so much, George. We just got 1 minute left, but thank you so much for giving the time and telling us your insights in how you make indie films, as well as just your character.